Uh, we're gonna start in a few minutes, like 7:33, 34. Just gonna wait for a few people. Don't look at my time though, because it's an. Okay, guys, we're gonna start now.
But I posted the sign in form in the Access tab, so please sign in. And also, there's time up telemap there you're gonna want to install. Or just download, just like right click and hit save as.
Yeah, it should be a PNG. Okay. If you didn't hear that in the meeting, go into the announcements, sign in, and download the tile map. It's a PNG. Okay, so can you guys see my screen in the Zoom?
Yes.
Thanks. Uh, I'll assume yes that you guys can see my screen. Hey, so this is the Godot workshop. Probably okay, good. You can see it. You probably know that. So if you guys haven't installed, this should be the first screen that you see, the project manager. It's blank for me because I removed all my projects and I don't really do anything on the laptop. So we want a project, right? So if everyone's here, we're just going to click on new project in the top right corner, and it's going to give us an error because we need to save it in an empty folder. So I'm going to name it my workshop. And I can create folder here, but I don't want it to be in documents directly. I want it to be in game projects. So I'm going to select this folder, and it's fine to create it here, but I'm going to create folder. So now it's going to create a directory for it. And before we create and edit, there's 3 renderers. Forward Plus has slower renders, but they're better. Like they're more realistic. But it can only run on desktop. So if you want mobile, do this one. If you want mobile and web, do compatibility. Doesn't really matter for this, so we're just gonna do forward plus.
Is there no way to do all? Actually, never mind. Never mind. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
Real quick, I want to say I'm gonna be walking around in case anyone needs help. So if you have any questions, just.
Okay. So you have your folder, you have your name, your renderer of choice. Create and edit. Just click that. And you're just gonna wait, right? You can wait. Okay. And that happens because I have it on Steam. It's cool, it automatically updates. So for our scene, we need a root node, as it says here. You could do any node that you want. Nodes are basically the building blocks of your game. They all have functionality. The node 2D, which is this blue one, essentially just has, it's very bare bones in terms of functionality. It just has some like transforms, like scale. You can move stuff around. Everything parented to it will move around with it. So for our base scene, we're going to do a node 2D or 2D scene because we're making a 2D game, platformer. And there's not really much to this game as it is. So in the scope of this workshop, we want to have an environment and a player. So we're not really gonna have anything to for the player to interact with. So we do the environment first, I say. And we're not going to add it directly to this scene, because maybe, let's say you want to use it somewhere else. So go here, add a new scene. And instead of clicking on one of these, go to other node and type in tile map and double click that. Make sure it's the blue one because that's the 2D one. And there's not really much to it right now because we need to give it the texture and do the auto tiling ourselves. So in the inspector, which gives you all the parameters of a node that you click on, go to tile set. It's empty right now, so we need a new one. So new tile set, and we need to click on it. And that's going to bring us to the editing tab here. And it's also going to give us these options where we can add physics layers and terrain sets. Because we want to have a tile set where we can automatically place tiles. But first we need the texture, right? So wherever you have it downloaded, just drag it and drop it to the file system over here, right? And now you should have it. But in order to use it, you need to, oh shit. Are there any questions? Is anyone, oh yeah?
Can you start again from when you create a new tile set?
Okay. Okay, so just whatever speed, it does not matter. I'll go at whatever speed you need me to. So
Just an addendum to that. You could probably go like 10% slower.
10% slower?
A bit slower.
Shoot. Sorry guys. Okay. You don't have to do this because I'm going to do the exact same thing. You don't have to delete it. So what we're going to do is in this new scene that we've created, just raise your hand if you need me to stop and you need to catch up, or have Soraya come and help you. Okay, so in our new scene, we're going to click root node, other node, and within the search bar, search up tile map. It says node for 2D based maps, 2D tile based maps. Double click that, and now you have this tile map as the base node for this second scene. All right, so this is the inspector, and it gives us all the parameters that we can edit for this node. So that includes like the quadrant size and what position it's at, whatever, all this stuff. That's what the inspector does. It allows you to edit the parameters of your node. The one that we want to edit is the tile set. Right now it's empty, and we need to give it a tile set. So click on it and click on new tile set. And then click on it one more time. So now if you want to edit the tile set, you can go to this window down here and pay attention to tile set and tile map. They're different. So if you get lost, just check if it's in tile map or tile set. Right now we want to be in tile set, and we want to take our PNG here. If you downloaded it, if you want to download it, it's in the Discord, and just wherever you downloaded it from, drag it and drop it into the file system over here. This bottom left corner is a view of your files in the game folder. Does anyone need a second to download that? Oh, if you need a question from chat. Oh, shoot. Yes, I can, but how do you add the tile map? How do you add the texture to the? Do you mean how do you? Yes, how do you add the texture? We're about to do that. All right. So right, there's no texture. This tile map has no texture until we add it. So now that you have this PNG, just drag it into this box in the tile set. And it's going to appear right here. The Atlas's texture was modified. Would you like to automatically create tiles in the Atlas? Whether you press yes or no, it doesn't matter because it's so simple to do. Just press yes. But if you didn't, you can just go here and you can hold left click and it'll create the tiles. If it's bright like this, it means there's a tile. If you don't want a tile there, which you shouldn't in these spaces, just right click. Right click and press delete. All right. So now with this, I believe at this point we can simply go in here. I don't know, we can go right here in tile map. Keep on clicking on it. I shouldn't do that. On tile map, and we can press and we can place the tiles. And I could make an entire surface with just these tiles. You may notice though that this is incredibly tedious. And you might not want to do this one.
Just real quick, can you show them how you made the screen bigger for the tile map?
Oh, okay. So if you want to do this, you can do that. Just grab the edge and just press the minus or plus if you want to zoom it. Or you can press Control minus while you're in here, of course. And Control plus if you want to zoom it in. All right. How do you draw? Okay, so you have the tile map in here, right? Okay. So while you're in the tile map section, make sure that you're under tiles. If you want to draw a tile, then just click on the one that you want and draw it. Just hold left click. Is that working? Can you help him out? Okay. And I don't want any of these tiles, so I'm just gonna Control Z delete them. Oh, thank you. Okay, so that's if you just want to do it by hand. It's kind of hard. Not hard, tedious. Which is why we are going to set up an auto tile. So that it automatically places the tiles that we want in the place that we're clicking. So in order to do that, under your inspector, there are two sets that we're concerned with right now. The first we're going to focus on right now is terrain sets. So under this dropdown, you should get add element. You add one element, and you want match corners and sides, because that's what we're doing. And then under terrains, this separate dropdown, click add element again. And this is going to create a terrain or an auto tiler, as some people call it. You can set the name to whatever you want. I'm going to call it my auto tile. And I'm going to set the color to purple. You can set it to whatever you want, doesn't matter. So now we can go back into tile set, and this time we're going to go into paint properties. We select the property editor, and we should have terrains if everything has gone correctly. Note it.
Can you go back to after you change the color?
After I change the color?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I just changed the color, and now I'm in tile set. Right now, I think before I was in setup, all I did was within this tile set tab, I went to paint. And I clicked on paint properties. And there's multiple that you can select. You want terrains. So click on terrains.
Got it.
Cool.
I can't find the paint property.
You can't find the what? Sorry? The draw scene. Can you open up? Okay. So okay, so we're in the terrains right now within the paint properties. Now we want to select the terrain set that we just created. Terrain set 0 is what this is called, this like box when we created the new element. And within that, we select whatever you called it, my auto tile for me. So terrain set 0, my auto tile.
Sorry, what does terrain set 0 mean? Yeah.
Terrain set 0 is the set of auto tilers that you just created. So for us, that's like a single auto tiler to match the corners and sides. So like you know how like we added the element, then we added another element. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So my auto tile is a subset of terrain set.
Yes. Yeah. Because like say you wanted multiple types of auto tilers for a single case.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah. All right, I'll give you guys like a second. I'm just gonna zoom in how I want it.
Jared, could you try to do the thing on the side that you did to set the terrain with the colors and stuff like that?
Set the terrain with the colors. Okay. How far do you want me to go back?
Like all the way back. Yeah, you didn't see it at all that part.
Okay, so just ignore this one right here. When you go under terrain sets, you're gonna add element, and you're going to drop down to terrains. Yeah, and then drop down. It's cut off.
Okay, these are the things.
Yeah. Is it? We're on the same page now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Can you get him like caught up to where we are in the paint properties?
No, I'm sorry, I don't remember. I got it.
Thank you, Alfred. Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay. So we're in my auto tile. And now we want to paint it. So you just click all the tiles that you want inside of your inside of this auto tiler. And that's going to be every single one that we selected earlier. And now it'll kind of divide it up into thirds, represented by this highlighted box within the highlighted box. Okay. Just so you guys understand what I'm doing here, basically what I'm doing is I'm painting the adjacent tiles. So each tile, when we paint this middle square, that means the tile is in the place that you are clicking, right? So it's a single tile. And then when we paint this up square, that means there is a tile above it, which is this tile. And there's one to the right of it, which is this tile, one under it, one to the left of it, and one in each corner. So this middle tile will be all filled. And say for this tile, it's just like the top surface. It exists in the point where you're clicking, so it's right there. There's one to the left, right, under, and bottom left and bottom right. But we don't select these because there are no tiles above it. And it goes in a similar pattern. You can maybe see where it's going, but for simplicity, just paint it like this. Just an entire box. And it takes a sec. So if you guys are having trouble and you need to catch up, now's the time to raise your hand, and hopefully Soraya and Alfred can help you out.
I am a bit, I get like, I get what you did, but not why you did it. Why would you want to exclude the borders of each tile again when you're painting those specific subset tiles?
Why am I excluding like these borders?
Yes.
Because there are no tiles in those adjacent spaces. So it looks like maybe do I have a marker? I get a marker. But I guess I can explain it by word. So we'll just take this specific tile right here. Okay, so this one we paint because it exists within here. So the tile, so we have this tile and it's separated into thirds. It exists right here. So that just represents the place that this specific tile holds. And this is this tile, and this one, say, is this tile. Right? Does that make more sense? We're painting the adjacent tiles.
Basically. So, are those adjacent tiles duplicates of that same tile? Or
Not necessarily duplicates. They could be. If each of them had the same exact data of like adjacency.
okay, so it's more that you're marking tiles to like adjacent sides of it so that like, hey, this is a tile to the side of it that you can paint on. Is that right?
It's not necessarily that we're getting permission to paint the tiles. It's that we want the correct tile. So like
I think I would probably understand it better if it was if I actually just solved it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe another way to explain it is like, are you like grouping the tiles by painting over them?
Am I what?
Or
What
like
in
creating like bigger like groups of tiles by painting over certain sections, or are you just like?
You'll see in a sec. Essentially, we just want the we want the tile set to place the correct tile. So like if it's a lonesome tile, it just exists like with no tiles adjacent to it. This one is just gonna place. We just click once, right? If we make a row, then it's going to place like this. It's going to place these tiles. You'll just see, and don't worry about these ones because these are like edge cases. Just this exact pattern. This is called the blob pattern, I guess. That's what I've heard it called. And if you mess up, just right click. Right click in the place that you mess up. So if I like go here, just right click.
And you have to do this by hand?
Yeah, you have to do this by hand.
Okay.
But because we're doing this by hand, it's gonna make editing the tiles a lot easier. All right. So this is the pattern. I'll leave it up for a sec. Who still needs it?
Painting over everything except the light parts, right?
Yeah. But raise your hand if you still need the tile, this tile map. Like if you still need to see it. Nobody? Okay, nobody needs to see this. So this is the auto tile pattern that we're using for this specific tile map. It sometimes differs, but generally it's this one for a 2D platformer. So we got that. And now we can go into the tile map tab. We can select terrains. Oh no. Perhaps I need to save it. Tile map. Okay, so Control S and then just save tilemap.tscn. Pretty simple, right? Now I go into terrains. Oh my god. Don't do this to me. It's not there. Why is it not
there
there?
for me, so,
It's there for you? Okay.
yeah.
I don't know why it's not there for me. What do you think? Shit, man. Dude, what the heck? Okay, so we're going under tile map. Tile map, right? We're going to terrains.
Maybe try closing and opening it.
Okay, I'll try closing and opening that. Are we getting any comments or questions?
Yeah, you see it too?
Yes.
This is so cool. Oh yeah. It definitely is. Okay, we're gonna save this and close it. I'm sorry, you don't need to do this.
Starting Steam to launch it does.
Yeah. I don't know why it's not doing this for me.
Maybe it's a problem with Steam.
Maybe it's a skill issue. What the fuck? I don't know what happened, but when you go to the tile map tab under terrains, you should see this. Your terrain set 0 with a drop down to whatever auto tile you've just created. Now it's going to have all these tiles individually mapped out. And now, where we had to individually click the specific tile that we wanted before, now we can just do it automatically like this.
Whoa.
It's way better. That's what we just did. We just did all of the relations. So to explain it before, like what it means. So we have this tile. This is when there are no tiles adjacent. And then this tile when there is one adjacent, right? To the left and to the right. Yeah, you see that? So it's like all the different edge cases for the tiles. It just paints itself out. And it works. It just works. So that's cool. And also one more thing that you may notice is that this is blurry. This is supposed to be sharp and it's blurry. That's just that just has to do with the texture, yeah. It's under the inherit filter right now. It's what?
Oh, sorry. It's like I was wondering if you're missing like one of those like things. How like if you forgot to click some, what would it do in that situation?
If you weren't using one of the, if you're missing one, then
Missing one in that situation.
there just wouldn't be a tile. Yeah. That's happened before to me. So let me say what I just did. So in the inspector for the tile map, if you want to make this not blurry, go under canvas item, texture, and click that drop down to filter and switch it from inherit to nearest. What it's kind of doing here with the inherit is it's like interpolating the distance on like the between the pixels, so it's not like a sharp image, but that's out of the scope. That's just like a technical thing. So we want it to be set to nearest. No. All right, so we got that, and it's incredibly sharp. Now I'm just gonna go back. Oops, sorry. I don't want any tiles, so I click into here. What?
Sorry for that.
It's fine.
Yeah. So if you wanted to create more complex shapes, could you still do that with these terrain sets? Or,
Oh yeah.
okay,
Yep, you could do that.
like, with like, um. If you wanted to create something with like two dots, one in the like bottom left and one at the bottom right, how would you do that to your current terrain set?
With this current terrain set, you want to like, wait, sorry. Explain what you want to make.
Because we ended up like just painting over like these tiles as well, right? So if I wanted to have
How do you like actually? I just replaced the times.
actually never mind. Yeah.
It's like,
And also, you'll notice this one is in 3x3. There are different modes for like the adjacency relations. Though 3x3 is the highest. The lowest is 2x2. It kind of depends on the tile map.
I accidentally flipped out of my tile map and I'm not, do I just click? Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah.
Okay, so we got our auto tiler. But there's one problem with this right now, and that is that it's just an image. This has no collisions, so it will not do anything to like physics objects. Nothing can interact with it. So I was talking earlier about how the terrain set was the first of the layers that we wanted to mess with. The second is physics layers. So under the inspector of the tile map, right above the terrain sets, click the drop down for physics layer and add an element. That's all you have to do for it. I'll briefly explain what this is. So the collision layer is it's what the object it's the plane that the object exists on, and the collision mask is what the object interacts with. So to give an example of that so it's more clear, let's say we have three different layers. We have the ground, we have the player as layer 2, and the enemy is as layer 3. Just imagine it's like Mario. So the ground does not interact, it isn't grabbing out and interacting with anything. So the mask goes off for the ground, but it does exist on layer 1, so we keep it there. For a player, for example, it would be interacting with the ground because it needs to land on something, right? And it also interacts with enemies, but you don't hurt the other player. So it isn't interacting with layer 2. And for an enemy, it would also be similar, where it's interacting with the player and the ground. Perhaps that's a bit out of the scope of the tutorial or the workshop, but just so you know how it works, we're going to keep it at default just for simplicity.
I can't interact with my tile map. Oh, without my. Oh, there we go. Thank you.
So collision layer is one layer near tile dot, and collision mask is what it interacts.
Yeah. Precisely. Okay, so we have our physics layer set up. All you did was you clicked add element and you created this like a menu here. So now we want to paint the collisions of each tile. It's very simple. In the same place where you painted the terrain, similar place, under the tile set tab, in paint mode, paint properties, this now appears, physics layer 0. Click on that, and now we have this menu. Roughly similar. The tiles already are mapped out. This is the collision shape that we are painting onto the tile. We just left click and hold and just drag. Let's say you had a more complex tile map and this edge here was beveled. It was smooth, had a kind of ramp on it. You would just click along the edge at a point and then click on here. As you can see by that small space, there it is. If you don't want that, just right click on a point to dissolve it and just put it back where it was and then click again. Anyways, every collision is just a box.
Are we creating new points?
New points? Oh, sorry. Along the edge of the collision box, just left click and you get a new point. And then right click that point to dissolve it. Oh, new question? Okay. You can just read them out loud to me if you want. How do you make it so that each thing collides with specific layers? How do you make it so that each thing collides with specific layers? That's a really, really good question. That's kind of what I was trying to explain before. So that it collides with specific layers, you would set the mask. As I said before, the layer is what the object exists on. It's not what it's interacting with. So you want to set the mask so that it's looking towards the layer and paying attention to it, basically. So if you wanted it to interact with like some other object that's on layer 2, you highlight layer 2. Does that answer your question? Let me know if it does or doesn't. But
Can you explain the difference between collision layers and collision masks again?
okay. I'm trying not to like repeat myself because I think maybe it's just like not clear. It's kind of hard to explain.
No, I was just trying to understand like what I was thinking.
Yeah. So the collision layer is what the object exists on, and the collision mask is what it's interacting with. So say I'm layer 1. Yeah, I'm on layer 1 and you're on layer 2. I punch you, but I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not on I don't have mask 2 enabled. My punch is right first. But I set my mask to 2 and not interact with you. Yeah. I don't know if that even helped.
No, I guess.
Okay.
Turn on to break rate.
Yeah.
So when you enable a release, that object that you're using it interacts with other objects in that layer, right? But can the object from that layer interact back?
Can the object with that? Oh, okay. So when you enable a mask, does it also allow the object to interact with when you just enabled it for? No, no. If
So you look at the other object,
yeah,
interact with the other layer.
you would have to go into the other object and click the mask of first object. Yeah.
Got another question. Chat 4, yeah.
Okay.
How do we set up the physics on the tiles?
How do we set up the physics on the tiles? We just did. That was it. Once you have the correct layer and mask and you have the collision shapes, the tiles can now be collided with. It's literally that simple. So I'm talking a lot, but we just finished the tile map. Pretty easy, right? So yeah, our tile map is finished. Just Control S to save it. And now we're back in the node 2D scene. This is our main scene where things are going to be happening. So we're not building our game in the tile map scene. The reason that we separate the scenes is so that we can use this tile map in different scenes. So like if I made an entire world in this tile map scene, every time I instance it in another scene, it's gonna bring that entire level with it. And I don't want that. So put it in an individual scene and I don't edit it. Instead, I go into the node 2D scene, I press this like chain link, instantiate child scene, and it creates an instance of the one that I double click on here. So double click on tilemap.scene. If you didn't see that, I'm in Node 2D. Go to this chain link, click it, and just double click the tile map. Now I can go in here, and I should just be able to, yeah. I can just create a scene. One more thing also, you click the play button, and it needs a main scene. So just select node2d.tscn or whatever you named it. There you go. Now it shows up.
Can you redo that now?
Oh yeah, yeah. Just give it a second.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna do that later. Yeah.
I had stuff on my tile. It's like, oh. If you know my
Okay. Yeah, so redoing that. Which part, sorry? Where I created the main scene? Yeah, so it's gonna, I can't really redo it because I just did it. But basically, go right over here to play the project. Oh, Alfred, are you gonna help him?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Alfred's gonna help you. Yeah.
So when I guess you for the temp change of things like that, why do you have two instances of the dot? Dot T, SCN, or NC?
Oh, these two things? This is the Node 2D scene, the one that we're in, and this one is the tile map scene. Yeah. So we, also, by the way, guys, like when you're talking on the side, try your hardest to keep it down, because I'm still trying to like explain things to everyone everywhere. So no big deal, but just keep it down. The reason that I create instances is so that I can use them in different ways, in different scenes, because I may use it in different ways. So yeah.
So am I supposed to have two right now at this point, or should I only have one?
Like two of these in the scene.
Two dot T. Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Oh.
yeah. So you're good. Yeah. You don't need. I'm not saying take two of these tile map scenes. You only need one, but two nodes is what you want right now. That's where you should be at. What's up?
So when you're linking your node scene to your tile map scene, are you creating a reference to that scene or are you stating a copy?
You are creating a reference. That was really good. That's actually probably how I should have explained it to a room of likely CSE majors. You just created a reference to the tile map. So this is the main tile map. When you edit this tile map in here, it does not make changes to this tile map. Though, one thing is that if I make changes to this tile map, it will make changes to every reference. So there's that. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so now we have the tile map. It's all set up. Now we need to do the player. So let me just redo it. Okay, so now I'm going to add a new scene, other node, and this time I'm going to do a character body 2D. And it says it's a 2D physics body specialized for characters moved by script. So that's a little window into what we're about to do. We're about to script a character. But before we do that, this character has no face. It has no body. We need to give it a sprite so that you can see it. So, sorry, I kind of just went through that too quick. Sorry. So under character body 2D, you have this selected. Select this plus right here. This is going to add a new node. And this one will be a child of the character body. We're going to search for sprite. So sprite 2D, this blue one. And for this, it doesn't just automatically give us a sprite. So we have one that's provided to us, the icon.svg. That's the one we're going to use. So under the inspector, while we have sprite 2D selected, go to this texture here and just drag into the texture file. Okay, so we have our sprite. This now has a face now. Now, if you want to play this specific scene, you click on this like movie director thing. I don't know what it's called. To run the current scene, and we need to save it first. So character body.tscn save. It doesn't do anything.
So do I?
Yeah, it doesn't do anything because it's not scripted, right? So what do? We go into the character body and we press this this paper to attach a new or existing script to this node. And within here, you're going to see a bunch of options and a bunch of stuff. You don't need to change anything, just create. And also make sure that this path is this, or whatever name your file is. So actually that doesn't matter. But anyways, we just created a script and we put it on this player. There's all this stuff in here that's very important. We're just gonna delete it all. Because I want to individually explain every part of it to you so that you can understand. And also there's a few changes, some stuff that I just didn't really like and wanted to change. So attaching the script alone doesn't do anything if it's just empty, right? So if I click on the scene again, I'm once again observing that the character is doing nothing. So I'd say that the first thing I want to do is I want the character to be affected by gravity. I want the character to fall. So what I want to do is I want to move the character body every frame. So what function I'm going to use for that is _physics process with parameter delta. The pass is just so it doesn't give me an error. So what this function does is it runs every single frame with all of the other physics calculations. So for an example, if you have a 60 hertz monitor, aka your computer runs at 60 FPS, this process will run 60 times a second. So it's running once every single frame. And delta is the time between the passing of the last frame. We're going to use this in a lot of the
Can you zoom in? I can't really see the code.
Yeah, I don't know if I can zoom in.
Yeah, plus where should be.
Oh, yeah, okay, I can do that. That was a really weird sound. Okay, so let me just go back a bit. Delta is the time between the passing of the last frame and the frame that you're on. So a lot of the physical operations that we're doing are going to involve delta so that we can like solve jitteriness. Like say if we accidentally skip a frame, we don't want the character to be lagging behind. Or inversely, if we skip a frame, or not skip a frame, we don't want it to be jittery. So we're going to be multiplying a lot of the physical operations by this delta parameter here. Okay, so I said that I wanted to have the character fall. So I'm going to edit the character's velocity. So this is a built-in variable. This is not something that you need to declare. So velocity is the velocity of the character, right? And velocity is a vector, which is like it's like speed with direction. If you've taken physics, magnitude and direction, right? So a vector is like an ordered pair. So it's x, y. So this is the x velocity, this is the y velocity. So let's say we're 0, 0, which is what it starts out as. 0, 0 means that it's 0, 0 distance over seconds, and in like the horizontal direction, and 0 distance over seconds in the vertical direction. So it's just please still what?
Oh, I can't really see that marker. Could use a different one.
You get you. Oh yeah. Go back. Okay. Do you have any questions, by the way, in the chat? Okay. I'll just write it harder. So 0, 0, right? As I just explained. If it's 1, if it's 1, 0, then that means that it is 1 distance over seconds in the x direction. So that would mean that it's moving to the right. So yeah, that's pretty much what a vector is. That's the units of the velocity variable. Yeah, so just to explain that and why we can't just add to this variable what we want. So we say velocity dot y if we are just changing the vertical velocity. And in this case, what we're doing is adding gravity. So plus equals I don't know 100. I don't know. Let's see if that works. That's not the right scene. Once again, click this. Click the current scene if you want to watch it. Doesn't work. Reason is it's just like a technical thing. You need to use move and slide. This function is what actually moves the character, right? And we're going to click on this and it's going to immediately teleport out. Oh, wait, no, it's not. Oops. It's going to do just what I want it to. Just what I want it to. So I do it again. False. Because we're incrementally adding 100 to this. And now is probably also a good time just to let you guys know that the y-axis is flipped. So positive is pointing down and negative points up in Godot. I don't know why, but that's what they do. Yeah. And if we want to edit the gravity, we just declare a variable equals 980. And also, oops, sorry. Bar gravity equals 980. And also, just like from a physical standpoint, this does not make any sense if we just plus equals gravity. Because this is distance over time squared. This is distance over time. This is a velocity. So, like I was talking about before with like the jittery frames and stuff, we multiply by delta just to make it smooth. And also, it makes sense because delta is seconds. And this is distance over seconds squared. We multiply those together, it becomes distance over seconds. It just makes more sense. So if you're ever doing like a physics operation and you're wondering if what you're doing is making sense, follow the units, right? So that's just good practice. That's all.
So based on what you said, based on the specs of every computer and like what their performance is at any time, delta would be different between. Yeah, but what would the average value of delta be?
Average value of delta, just hover over, I believe, and I'll tell you, I think. It was doing that before. I believe it was something like for a 60 FPS computer, it was like 0.0167, something like that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Print it. Oh, yeah. I could print it. Okay, so pretty simple. Just print delta. What? Oh, oops. Once again. Yeah. Just 6 repeating, and it rounds off to 7. What? It's passing of time between the frame now and the frame before. So whenever you ran it. So yeah. Okay. So now it falls. Now our character falls. I think now is a good time to go and put it in this scene. So I'm going to click this so it instantiates as a child of the node 2D. This character body 2D.tscn, I'm going to put this here. It's kind of large. Just a side note, try not to scale physics objects because it just messes with physics. So instead of scaling the entire thing, I'm just going to scale the sprite. I'll divide it by 4. So just go under inspector and then transform scale. And it's supposed to not do that, but okay. It's being weird. Okay. And now I go into here just to clarify. It's still the size. I edited in the character body, but I didn't save. So now it does that, right? So you have to save. Otherwise it won't work. And now this is in here. I should be able to just go in here and oh, what? It falls through. Why is that? It's because what's this error? This node has no shape, so it can't collide or interact with other objects. Just a simple thing. It needs a shape, just like our tiles needed a collision. So we go in, create a new node under character body 2D, collision shape 2D. Now we have this, but another error. We need to set a shape for it. That's what it's gonna say. So check that, yeah, it needs a shape. So click on collision shape 2D, shape, do whatever shape you want. For the purposes of this, a rectangle makes sense. Okay, I'm just gonna zoom in a bit here. Okay, and if you want to edit the specific dimensions, you can either just click like that. It's not specific, but if you want it specific, then you just click on the rectangle in here from the shape that you just created, and you can edit them like this. Maybe like 30. I leave a little room just because. It's typically good practice in most games where you're having like enemies that you create the collision shape a little bit smaller, just so it doesn't seem unfair. But that's like a design thing that doesn't matter for this.
I've got 2 questions for you.
Okay.
Do we need to use semicolons?
No.
And also, how do I show the screen and not the code?
How do I show the screen and not the code?
He's asking how do you switch between your 2D, like how do you switch between this and this?
Okay. If you want to show the code, you go to script. If you want to show the screen, go to 2D. Sorry, I kind of glossed over that. To show the script, click on script, show 2D, show 2D, right? I guess you could also show 3D, but there's not going to be anything there. So that's how you do that. Thank you for reading those. Appreciate that. Just want to see if there's anyone else. Like in the. All right, so we got our shape. And if everything's correct, I can press play on the base scene here, and it should just, yep. And now it just stops. Can't do anything because I didn't code the movement, right? So before we do this, before we code the movement, I want to create my own keybinds so I can use them in the code. So we go to project settings, and now we go to input map, and it's blank. That's how it should be, because we need to add our actions. So what we're looking to do is move the character left and right. So add action, I clicked add new action, and I'm typing in move left. That's what I want it to be called. So move left and move right. Just press enter and it'll add it. But it has no keybind. You need to add that yourself. So under move left, you don't need to click it, but you do need to click this plus. Add event, and now it's listening for an input. So you don't need to type anything in. Just click the input that you want. It's the left physical key for me, so just click that and OK. And I'm also going to add A, it's like WASD. And then under move right, plus right key. And then add event D. So there it is. Those are our input events. Do we need a second or not? Do we need a second? Okay, cool. All right. We'll say that things are all right, that we understand for a fair amount of us. So I'm going to continue. So we have these keys, the move left and move right. Now we want to use them, right? So how are we going to code this movement? Typically, I'll just do it the way that this code does it, because the way that it does it is more or less the best way to do it. The way that the code just comes to you, the one that we deleted. So that would be bar direction equals input dot get underscore axis. And then the two axes that we need to specify in the parameters are move left for negative, because left is negative on the x-axis, and then comma move right. So basically what that's doing is it's just reading for an input. It's reading for if you're pressing move left or move right. Move left, if you press only left, then direction is going to be equal to -1. If you only press right, direction is going to be equal to 1. If you don't press either, direction will be 0. If you press both, direction will also be 0, and that's the important part. Because if you press both, you don't want to move one way or the other. You want to move neither way. So that's why we specify this. And also, if you're wondering where you can read about it, like what these functions do, search help right here. Get underscore axis. That's under the input class. And now we can just double click it, and the documentation is at your fingertips. For any function, for pretty much anything in the editor, you can just look it up within here. And it tells you negative action, positive action, right? And this is what we had to do before this existed. We had to subtract these two from each other. We had to subtract the right from the left. It didn't necessarily suck, but it was a little bit tedious. About as tedious as writing a line of code. Anyways, that's how you do it. That's how you get the direction. And we can say that if the direction is equal to 0, then we can say that the player is not moving, right? So we're not going to move the character. But if the direction is not equal to 0, so it's equal to either -1 or 1, then we are going to move the player. So if direction is not equal to 0, then that means the player is moving. So velocity dot x equals 100. And that means that the player is going to move at a rate of 100 whatevers in the right direction. So if we run the project, hopefully this works. Okay, so I'm pressing right. It's not stopping. Oh my God. Yeah. It's pretty obvious why it's not stopping. It's because we never made it stop. So, oops. Else velocity dot x equals 0. Right. So now I go back in and it stops. Pretty simple, right? So there's that. And now if we want to control a direction, times direction. And now it should just work, right? I'll go back to the code in a second, sorry. I don't like the speed. I think it's too slow. So just, I guess, copy that down. Hopefully you understand it, right? But you won't be able to copy it down if I block it. I want to adjust the speed, so I'm going to set a variable. Var speed equals 100 for now. And now I can just replace that, right? And now whenever I want to edit the speed, if I'm, say, using it in multiple places, I now have a variable to control. But it may be a bit tedious to go through and set the value of the variable. So one thing that you can do if you want to edit the variable in the inspector is at export var. So now we see the speed variable. Click on character body. Click on character body 2D. And now within the script, character body 2D.gd, speed 100. So it's appearing in the inspector. And you can edit that even as the game is running, which is pretty cool, right? So, but not if it's being blocked, right? So just wait. And you saw the speed. I was going kind of sluggish. Now I want to go 1000. I did not stop the game. Sorry, you need to press enter to make it work. See, didn't stop the game, and I can edit the speed whenever I want. And it stays that way. It doesn't edit the script, but it does, well, actually it does, but anyways, once again, same mistake, you have to press enter. There we go. It works. And there was another problem. I couldn't jump back up. So you want to jump, right? You got all this code down, and I'm going to just be one step ahead. Export var jump force equals 300. I'm probably going to want to edit it.
Is there any reason why you wouldn't want to export a variable? Because it seems like you would always want to do that.
That's a good question. If it's a variable that you don't want to edit, like I'm sure about gravity being 980, so I'm not going to bother exporting it. And also, if you have a really complex like script and a ton of variables, you export all those variables, and suddenly the inspector is cluttered.
Yeah.
So that's one reason, maybe. In fact, I'm so sure about gravity being 980 that I'm going to set it to const. Probably know what const does. Maybe you do. It just means that the variable can't be edited. So this const gravity will always be 980. It cannot be edited in the script. So I can't go in and say gravity equals 100. That won't work. And C says that. Because I'm not supposed to be able to edit it. But I'm not. I guess I am kind of teaching coding. I know I literally am. But anyways. Now we have the jump force, right? We're about to do a jump. So another thing, if input dot is action, I'm going to stop right here just for a second. Show three different action types. There are more than this, but these are the ones that you'll generally use. Is action just pressed? You just barely pressed the button. Just release, you just released it, and pressed, you pressed it, and it is continually being pressed. So for a jump, that's like a single tap on whatever key. So just pressed works just fine. We don't have a keybind. Go back, project settings, input map, add new action, jump, plus spacebar. Okay. Pretty simple, right? All good.
What's the difference between just press and press?
Just press and press. So just press, you just barely press it. So if I press down on the arrow key, I just pressed it, that will only activate once because I only pressed it once. And then
Keep on pressing on it, it'll still right.
yeah, if action is pressed, if action pressed. Yeah. So yeah. So there we go. Now we have jump. Jump. If action just pressed, jump. Okay. Why is it giving me an error here? Oh, it's because of yeah. If I pass, that should go away, right? Yeah, okay. So if action just pressed jump, what we're doing is we're gonna set the velocity dot y to jump force. And now if everything is correct, everything is not correct. Why? What are you doing, script? Yeah, it has to be negative. That's something that might happen a lot, is that if you want to move upwards vertically, it has to be negative. Don't forget, like I just did. But
Couldn't we just change it in the variable to automatically like negative one whenever, or is that just overcomplicated? So that you could keep it at a positive value.
yeah, we could do that. If you wanted to do that, then you could.
Is there a reason why we're not multiplying it by delta right now, or?
Um, because it's already a velocity. We multiply by delta because that's like a rate. I guess I don't know how to explain it, but we're just jump force. I should say it's jump velocity because force and velocity are different things. You don't have to change it, but jump velocity because we're just setting the velocity. So once again, following the units, jump velocity or setting the velocity. So simple as, all right? So now that's a game. Oh, what?
If you spam jump, you just going to fly. Hypothetically,
Oh,
how
shit.
would you do a ground check to like is there an easy way to do a ground check to make sure?
There's a very easy way.
Okay.
I completely forgot. If action, just press jump and is on floor. There you go. Right?
Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, sorry, I saw your hand, right?
Oh, yeah. Is there a way to like flip the in-game like camera 180 degrees and then that's it? Or do you like mess with the camera?
In a 3D in the 3D viewport, that would be a camera. In 2D, that's just the viewport. I've never done that before, but you can do that. There is a node. There's a view. That's sub viewport. Let's see. So that's a good question. Abstract base class for viewports. I believe that would have something to do with this node. Hypothetically, you could also just simply flip the node 2D. However, you can imagine that would have consequences on the physics because you would have to make every other variable negative. You could also do it that way, but you could do that. You could do it. You just have to do some research.
Two things.
Okay.
One, I've been editing in the character body 2D scene this entire time. Is that bad?
That's what you should be doing.
Oh, okay. Or is your
I'm in the character body 2D script.
Oh, I'm sorry. You switched back to the node
Yeah.
like scene and I got connected. Okay, whatever. And
Yeah.
second, that function is on floor.
Yeah.
So does that have to do with your collision mask? Oh, for your collision.
In a way, yes. If the object that you're colliding with is like an object that's within the mask, and that object is static, say not a rigid body, not a character body, but instead just a collision shape, then you are on the floor.
Okay. I'm assuming if you had different like layers of floor, like if you had a floor and then like a higher level, things would get wonky with that, or would that still work fine?
If you had like multiple levels of floor,
Yeah, if you had like multiple, levels, right? Like if you had like a hill.
Yeah.
Or, I'm not sure how to explain this. Like if one of your sprites, sorry, if like a set of your tile map, right? If that had a different like collision layer, would that affect?
I don't think it would make a difference.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. That's the game. You just made the game. If you want another thing I could go over, if you want me to, is signals. That's something that you'll be using a lot. So raise your hand if you want to stick around to watch me add a coin. Okay. So a few of you. Yeah. It's just another thing. So we're gonna do area 2D. I didn't plan this out, by the way, and it's been a while since I've used the editor. but I figured last second that I wanted to add it because signals are important. So add a sprite to it, right? Icon.svg. And then in the texture, what is it? Visibility, right? Just if you want, you can make it yellow. It's like not kind of a gross yellow, a nice yellow. There you go. That's a coin, right? This is gonna take too long. Transform. Gonna scale it down just a bit, right? We're gonna scale it down to 0.125. There we go. Very small coin. There it is. And add a collision shape to it. This is gonna take too long. This is gonna take too long to do. What? I guess we could do another workshop where we go into more detail about some things. Not this Thursday. I'm so busy. I can't do it.
I would be down for a continuation of this meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe the next Thursday I can do this. But just to show you, signals, it's like a bunch of functions that you can use that are built in to work. So like if you enter an area, etc. Anyways, let's say that. Plus, that's your game. Yay. Yeah, it works, right? So cool. Well, how do you recolor the sprite? Oh, we got another question. This is really quick. Sorry, I brushed over it. It's just a random thing. Visibility, under visibility, modulate, and then just set the color. That's it. That's how you edit the color of the sprite. Right? That was all. You don't need to do that. Oh, already gone. Oh wait, no, she's still there. Okay. Yeah, that's the workshop. Yeah. Thank you guys for coming. See you later.
That's it. Learn a lot of that. Especially about